Welcome, everybody, to the Stone Down Sports Podcast. My name is Matt. Really thrilled to be here with you tonight as we embark on season 2. That's right. We are on to fantasy baseball. And I, for one, am very excited about that. Baseball is the first love of my life. It's America's pastime. I don't know what I'd do without it. As you can see, things look a little bit different here. We are down a man, as Ramey mentioned on Sunday. He's going to bow out for a little bit. He's not real heavy into the fantasy baseball, but that's fine. And we're happy to have him back whenever he wants to be here. But I got Kyle here with me tonight. And as
yes, sir,
you might be able to see, he's got the block M on his chest. I do as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that's because Michigan is national champion.
That's right, baby. They are. It's great. It's awesome. Where's the cheering? There it is. How amazing is that, dude? Finally, national champions. First time since 97. And I don't, that stuff was just different back then. It wasn't a playoff. It was votes and things and pre-BCS. I think that was actually the last year.
Yep.
And then Michigan won again right before it changes to the 12-team playoff. So kind of interesting thing there. But yeah, last night was a great game. Awesome. Loved it. Got a little concern there for a while, and they just started taking over. Michigan's defense is just amazing. They looked amazing last night, and defense wins championships still.
That's it. They made Michael Penix look human. He still had a decent game. He threw a couple picks. And to be fair, Michigan had some blown coverages, especially on the defensive left side against Odunze. Fortunately for us, they really only connected on one.
Yeah, they had a lot of drops.
Yes, they did. The chat is hopping already. We got Dubo in here. Go Blue, you damn straight, brother. What's going on? Happy you're here to join us. And the aforementioned Ramey. You guys look cute in your matching outfits. And I'm sure You're sitting there at home on your couch in your Cubs onesie, wondering if they're going to sign anybody.
Nope, they're not. Letting everybody walk. No Bellinger, no Stroman. Just letting everybody walk. But all right, you want to get into it? I think we're going to talk. We're going to talk about a few free agent signings, a few players. Talk about them a little bit, and how they will, help that team, affect their team, what they did last year. And then we'll talk about a few free agents that are still out there waiting to get signed. Still early on a lot of that. We'll see what happens. Some big names out there still waiting for a team. First one we were going to do is the man, pretty much. I mean, if you don't know who this guy is, I don't know where you've been. Shohei Ohtani signed that huge deal with the Dodgers, 10 years, $100 gazillion, deferring it till he retires kind of thing. But I'm excited to see. I don't really love the Dodgers, I'll be honest. But I am excited to see how the lineup's going to look with Betts and Freeman and Ohtani, and how they're going to help each other as well. Ohtani really hasn't had a lot of great hitters behind him in his career, and I'm thinking that's going to change this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Based on what I've seen, it looks like he's going to hit second, most likely. So he'll have Mookie Betts in front of him, Freddie Freeman behind him. And even then, you've got Will Smith and Max Muncy. That lineup is just loaded. As a matter of fact, against right-handed hitters, that lineup should feature 6 lefties, which is just insane. Ohtani hits left-handed. It's not like he's going on the bench when a lefty's out there on the mound. Obviously, he had Tommy John surgery, so he's not going to be playing the field. He'll DH. He sure as shit is not going to pitch this year, and we made it at the 4-minute 30-second mark. Hooray, hooray.
Nice. Good job.
I do think it's important, though, that people understand that they need to temper expectations. He is coming back from that Tommy John surgery. And as I was trying to get an idea of what exactly we should expect out of him, I looked at Bryce Harper from last season. He missed April, came back, played May and June, and he had, strictly speaking from power numbers, he had 3 home runs those first 2 months. after the break, 18 home runs. So
Yeah.
don't expect him to come out and just light things on fire and mash the hell out of the ball. That's not how it's going to be. It's important to make sure your expectations are kind of tempered. Dodger Stadium, we'll talk about pitchers parks and hitters parks. Dodger Stadium's kind of right there in the middle. They've got a 99 park factor according to StatCast. 100 is average, so it leans just slightly towards pitching, but it's really an average park. I'm incredibly excited to see just how many runs this team is going to score. There are no soft spots in the lineup. You're going to have to pitch to everybody. And when it comes to pitching, you'll hear people talk about high leverage situations and things like that. Every damn hitter is going to be a high leverage situation because not only do Mookie and Ohtani and Freddie Freeman have some pop, but they get on base too.
They
And
do.
when you got ducks on the pond, it makes every pitch so much more strenuous.
They have definitely those three, Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, definitely have a chance to become one of the greatest trio of offensive teammates of all time. There's been some good ones, obviously, way back in the Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig days. There's a lot of those guys, but Ohtani led the league in OPS last year. Betts was what? Shit, I had it right here. Was fifth, and Freeman was seventh. Could you imagine if they had three guys at 1,000?
That's just insane. And you look at all three dudes, all three guys are MVP caliber players. You're thrilled if you get one on your team. Imagine having to face one after another after another.
Guess who's got Betts and Freeman on his dynasty team? This guy.
Well, bully for you.
Heck yeah, love it. But excited to see what they can do there. I did read about a slim chance, later in the season when his arm is healed. Dave Roberts asked Ohtani if he could play left field. It'd be interesting.
It's possible. If that happens, I wouldn't count on it. It maybe before late August, early September. Once you're in the dog days,
it would definitely probably be September. I would think for sure. But yeah, we'll see. Heck yeah.
All right. Who do we got next on the list here? We have former Tiger Eduardo Rodriguez. Last year at the trade deadline, yeah, piss on that dude. Last year at the trade deadline, Detroit had a deal worked out. I think it was to send him to the Dodgers, and he put the kibosh on that because he doesn't want to go out west. And then look what his bitch ass does. He goes and signs with the Diamondbacks. That's a good get for him. He's going from one of the top 6 pitchers parks in Comerica Park to whatever bullshit they're calling it out there in Arizona now. It's more of a neutral park. The defense that's going to be behind him is similar. Despite Detroit's subpar record last year, they were a pretty damn good defensive team, but there's going to be a huge upgrade for him in terms of offense and the run support he can expect. He'll slide in as a number 2, probably behind Zach Gallen and in front of Merrill Kelly. In terms of fantasy, he's somebody who he doesn't give up a lot of home runs. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, but your trade-off with that is he doesn't strike a lot of guys out either.
Yeah.
He's someone who'd be better in rotisserie leagues than in points leagues just due to the low strikeouts, because in points league, that's what you're really looking for.
He finished SP 35 in ESPN points leagues last season.
Yeah, so that wasn't horrible.
Awful. I just don't expect another 3.30 ERA in the NL.
No.
As well. And like you said, it'll be a mid-rotation spot. And he'll probably I think he'll still be outside of the top 40, honestly. His expected ERA last season was 4.04, which kind of slots him more a 3, an SP3, SP4 almost.
Yeah, I think if you can get Erod as your SP4, I think you're going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
Strikeouts are we'll call it relatively easy to find on the waiver wire, and we'll get into waiver wire strategy more later on in this episode and in the coming weeks. he's a really good but not great pitcher, but he can go out there on any given night and throw you 7 shutout innings with 3 hits, 2 walks, and 7 or 8 strikeouts.
Yeah, maybe not any given night. He does come with some durability concerns. He's only reached the 200 inning mark once in his 8 seasons. So, but when he's healthy, I think he should be solid. Somebody on your team that, like you said, if you're got him as your 4, you're pretty happy.
Yep, for sure.
Heck yeah. All right, we'll go to the next one. Oh, who we got here? Lucas Giolito, right-handed pitcher with the Red Sox. Let's see. He was in top 50 for ESPN points leagues last season. He was a top 20 fantasy starter as recently as 2021. But his run prevention's become a big problem. Posted a 4.89 ERA over the last 2 seasons, giving up 65 home runs. We'll see. I don't know. He was Jesus. He permitted 8 runs per game in a game for each of the 3 teams he played for last season.
Yeah,
That's
Lucas Giolito,
he's some bad outings.
He's kind of an enigma. So he was a very highly regarded prospect. He was a number 1 pick for the Nationals back in the day. Came up with them, looked halfway decent, got traded to the White Sox. When he actually got a chance to be a full-time starter, he was the worst starter in baseball. He was absolute garbage. In the very next season, he turned it around. He was fantastic. He's somebody who's going to eat through innings for you. He has 3 straight seasons of 30 plus starts. He's got 200 plus strikeouts in 2 out of 3 at 2 years, 38.5 million. This is kind of a low risk, high reward signing for the Red Sox. I like it. He does give up the long ball, and Boston is the 2nd best hitters park. So he's really going to have to work on that if he wants to have success there in Boston. But they only play half their games there. But the AL East is
that's
brutal.
where I was going. It's going to be tough in the American League East. I don't love it. I still don't think it'll be super easy at Fenway, but he's a fine value pick in fantasy drafts. It's going to be late round, or if it's auction, it's not going to be too much. Not going to be too much, but $1 or $2.
Yeah, he should be pretty cheap. You need to keep your expectations in line with reality. He's a pitcher who's prone to blow ups. So,
yep. But like you said, he'll be around. He should be durable. He's hopefully he tightens up his mechanics a little bit and stays healthy. If so, he'd be all right. Somebody to have on your team to eat up some innings.
Absolutely. We've got our first Tigers signing up next. Mr. Kenta Maeda.
No, you're going in order.
I'm going in the order that these are in here as.
Oh, then I did it wrong. But go ahead.
All right. Kenta Maeda. 2 years, 24 million. He's going to be the SP3 for the Tigers. He's up there in years. He's going to be 36 in April. He's somebody who, he's a little over 9 Ks per 9 innings, which is kind of the benchmark for what you want. Better than average walk per 9s and a little higher than average home runs per 9. With him, you're hoping to get 25 starts. He's not really done that in recent years, and I know he's been used in relief some by Minnesota, and he spent some time with the Dodgers, and he was used out of the pen and some spot starts there. He's we'll call him top 100 starting pitcher with upside depending on matchup, but he's one of those guys who you're going to have at the bottom of your rotation in a roster spot that you may be churning all season long.
Yeah, and I think I can find 75 starting pitchers better suited than him, honestly. We'll see. He finished outside the top 100 in points leagues last year. Like you said, he does. He is 36. He does miss a lot of bats. He has a low career whip at 1.14, which is good. on the non-fantasy side, the Tigers wanted, a veteran guy. It's a young rotation. I get it. But I don't expect. Now, this is his second year since having Tommy John, so they're hoping for a nice bounce back season from him. We'll see. I don't think he'll be particularly dominant, and he wasn't last year.
No, I mean I'll take a flyer on him and the end of a snake draft, or I'll throw a buck or two on him just to kind of see what happens.
Sure.
He's only made 30 starts once in his career. To expect anything like that would be kind of foolish. But if you can, get 20 starts out of him, he's not a set and forget pitcher. He's somebody who, you're going to stream him against some lesser teams, especially at home. Detroit is such a pitcher's park that should help him out there as well. But definitely not somebody to build your rotation around.
Nope. Not at all.
and he'll give too, if you look, if you expand out a little bit, he's going to give a nice veteran presence there for Detroit's pitchers. They've got a lot of young guys. Skubal, Mize is coming back. Matt Manning looked pretty damn good in some flashes last year, but he's had some health concerns. And I think too, they're just kind of hoping for some stability with him.
Yeah. And speaking of Skubal, there was, folks who drafted him last year and then released him or dropped him or did whatever. And then, he did so well in the second half of the season.
Oh, he's my pick for AL Cy Young this year.
There you go.
He was the best pitcher in baseball, August and September.
Yeah, he was very good. Very good. So hopefully he can continue that. Maybe Maeda will have a pop back year. He has regressed the last 2 years. So maybe he'll figure some things out. But I don't look for him to be amazing. Like I said, he ain't anybody. He's not on my radar, but we'll see.
Not at all. But so you'll see this, if you go into some online forum, you're on Reddit or whatever, or listening to your sports talk show of choice, and you'll hear who's on your do not draft list. Well, nobody, because everybody is a value at some point. If I'm at the end of my draft and I got a buck and I got one more roster spot, sure, he's in a similar boat to Lucas Giolito. Giolito's younger. There's better strikeout upside there as well, but still, Giolito's going to be gone before the end of the draft. Maybe Maeda's hanging out, and again, he's somebody who you can stream depending on matchup. But pitchers like him are going to be available on the wire all season long.
Yeah, heck yeah. All right, next up is Sonny Gray. Free agent, signed he's on his 15 now?
Something like that. He's been around 15? For a minute.
Yeah, he's been around for a minute. Signed with the Cardinals. I think he's going to help that team. They also signed Gibson and Lance Lynn. Those veterans struggle to keep runs off the board. Gray does a fine job of that. His career ERA is 3.47. My problem with him is he doesn't go very deep into starts. He's only had single-digit win totals each of the last 3 seasons and fewer than 12 wins in every year since 2015. But I think you still got to view him as a top 30 fantasy starter. He finished SP 14 last season in point scoring. What he can do what he's really good at. You know how many home runs he gave up last year? 8.
8, yeah.
8.
He keeps the ball in the park.
Yep. That was the lowest in baseball. Next closest was Justin Steele. But his ability to keep the ball in the park is one of his biggest perks. I think you'll get 150, 175 innings out of him with ERA in the mid 3s. See what happens. Busch Stadium's more pitcher friendly than Target Field. So
it is, but I mean, the Cardinals were the 3rd best fielding team last year, so he's going to have a good defense behind him. He's going to slot in as the SP1. He was 2nd in Cy Young voting last year, made 30 starts last year for the first time since 2019. And there are some question marks behind him in the rotation. Lance Lynn is somebody who's prone to blow-ups. Kyle Gibson is a jag, maybe slightly better. And then you've got Miles Mikolas and Steven Matz, who are just bodies there to fill in the rotation.
Right.
He's getting up there in years too. He's going to be 34. Actually, he just turned 34. November 7th, day after my birthday. And this last season really seemed like an outlier. He's another one of those guys who's been pretty good outside of the time he spent in New York. And, to be fair, not everybody is made to pitch in a market like that with just that level of scrutiny. And I know this may chap Ramey's ass a little bit, but the Cardinals fan base is really one of the best in baseball. And I think if you're going into the season expecting a repeat of last year, you're going to be disappointed. I think if you're looking for something more in line with his career averages, then all right, that's something I can deal with. Um, he is their SP1. I don't necessarily think he's going to be an SP1 this year. And what I mean by that is I don't see him as a top 10 to 12 starter. I think he's a rock solid SP2. But to draft him as anything more than that, I think would be a little bit foolish. They did sign him to a pretty decent deal. It was 3 years for $75 million. I don't know that I'm going to be very happy about running a 37-year-old Sonny Gray out there, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah. There's with his pedestrian strikeout totals and his, he basically relies on luck to produce wins. I think it makes more sense to get a high upside guy like Hunter Green or something like that, who I think will do more good if everything breaks right. What I will say about Gray is guy's been a stud in the second half of season. So if you do draft him this season, be patient. I mean, you really the first couple months of the season, you need to be patient regardless until you start getting into summer. Guys start hitting things like that. But Sonny Gray, very good second half pitcher. Maybe it's somebody you can grab to help you later in the season. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. And you're going to run into pitchers out there like that. One that comes to mind as a notorious slow starter was Corey Kluber. And he was somebody I was always looking to buy low on in, maybe mid-May or something like that. But either fortunately or unfortunately, I've never been blessed enough to play in a fantasy baseball league with idiots. So I was never really able to get him for bargain basement prices. One thing that is concerning about Sonny Gray, though, is just looking at his batted ball information. His ground ball percentage is going down. He's giving up more line drives and fly balls, and that's generally a recipe for disaster, especially as you get into the summer months where the ball really starts to fly. But we'll see what happens. He's also been like you were saying, a second half pitcher. So, in a scenario like that, something has to give. But again, at the end of the day, he's somebody, he should be a rock solid SP2 for you. If you can get him as your SP3, it's even better.
Yeah. Ramey says, I just screwed up the button here. Cubs signed Shota Imanaga. God, I hope I'm saying that right.
No shit.
Left-handed pitcher from Japan. Not a superpower guy. Definitely relies on command and changeup, kind of like a Greg Maddux in a way. We'll see what happens.
It's about time the Cubs threw their hat in the ring to pick up a free agent or two, and for Ramey's sake, hopefully they're not done. They do have a couple of their own possibly departing free agents that we're going to touch on here in just a few minutes.
All right, Candelario signed with the Reds. Why the hell? That team is loaded infielders. Young infielders. I don't get it. He had another solid season for the Nationals and Cubs last season. Career high 64 extra base hits, 807 OPS, which is pretty good. A few stolen bases as well, 8 of them. He was the top 20 in, first base, third base in ESPN points formats last year. He'll probably hit in the middle of the lineup. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark there. He's got another shot at being a top 75 fantasy hitter this year. I just don't understand what they're so loaded with infielders there. Maybe they'll make a trade and get some pitching or something, but I didn't quite understand that part of it.
Yeah, with him, according to Fangraphs, they have him slotting in at first base, and that's going to put Christian Encarnacion Strand on the bench, which I don't necessarily think is the greatest idea. look, Jeimer, essentially for what he is a league average player. He's going to get a benefit from, like you were saying, he's going back to the third best hitters park in baseball. He did set a career high last year with 22 home runs. He's going to hit in the middle of a top 10 lineup that's improving. He doesn't hit the ball hard. He's got a below average exit velo, slightly above average home run rate last year, but that's going to come along with his career high. But the ball flies out of the park there at Great American Ballpark.
Sure does.
They got him for 3 and 45. He's not, it's not like he's super old or anything like that. I do kind of get right, so he's towards the back end of his prime, maybe, but still in it. And it always kind of pains me to see former Detroit Tigers go to Cincinnati and have success. A la Eugenio Suarez and Nick Castellanos has gone there. Look, he's somebody you can get. You should be able to get him for relatively cheap, considering where he's at. I imagine as we get closer to draft time, there's going to be some helium in his price. So for those of you who are drafting earlier in the offseason, he's going to present a better value than if you were to draft in say mid-March.
Dubo, Twins signed nobody. They never spend, the owners never spend no money. Well, I can understand that. We haven't spent any money in Detroit in a minute.
Yeah, since Mr. Illich left.
Pretty much. Well, he didn't just leave. He
left permanently.
Yeah. Yes, he left permanently.
He's no longer
you guys signed Correa. Yeah, I didn't count that one because I didn't like that signing, Ramey. Now we got him another year. Oh, Jesus. All right. We're on to free agents now. First one we got up here is JD Martinez. Speaking of ex-Tigers, played for the Dodgers last season. He had 16 home runs, 62 RB. No, hold on. I'm looking at the wrong year.
Yeah, double that. 33 home runs, 103 RBIs, 893 OPS. It was a great bounce back year for him.
For sure.
He's probably going to get a 2-year deal somewhere. There's been a little bit of smoke with him coming back to Detroit, and they could certainly use a right-handed power bat. I know Teoscar Hernandez just signed either yesterday or the day before with the Dodgers, but it seems like every year the market is flooded with right-handed power bats and especially dudes who are DH only. JD Martinez is not going to play the field. He put up those numbers last year. Granted, it was a Dodgers lineup and only 479 plate appearances. His strikeout rate last year, 31.1%. That was a career high, along with his 93.4 mile an hour exit velo. So, there's still a little bit of pop there left in his bat. If he goes into the right circumstance, I would happily project, 25 to 28 home runs, maybe 80 RBIs. He can still do a little bit with him as he's gotten older. And this isn't something that's unique to him, but, health becomes a struggle. And especially for those right-handed power bats, once you start to lose bat speed, it's all over.
Yeah. Here's a list of the players with 450 plate appearances with a higher slugging percentage than JD Martinez last year. Ohtani, Seager, Aaron Judge, Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna Jr., Yordan Alvarez, and Mookie Betts. That's it. 7 All-Stars and 36-year-old JD Martinez. So he's not looking for a long-term deal. And he's going to be especially attractive to contenders. He is very good in the postseason. 974 OPS, 10 home runs, and 31 RBIs in 33 career games, hitting 294. He's going to find a home. It's going to take some time here. I know the Mets, the Tigers. I even read the Blue Jays. Even a return to Arizona kind of makes sense a little bit too. So we'll see where he ends up. I'd love if he came home back to the Tigers. That'd be awesome. I did love him very much as a player.
Same.
But, we're not a team that's angling for the postseason, so I just don't see him doing it.
I don't see him doing it either, just because you've got somebody young and a little more promising in Detroit with Kerry Carpenter. It just he's somebody, and I know we're not talking about him, but just we're on the Tigers. I would love to draft him, but I'm so scared of the platoon. And that's something
Yeah.
you run into so much. Like he's that's him. He's a left-handed bat. He's going to sit against left-handed pitchers. Granted, there aren't a whole hell of a lot of them in Major League Baseball, so maybe he plays 5 days a week or something like that. But you're going to run into those weeks where Detroit is, or any team, maybe you face 4 left-handers in 1 week, and now you're getting jack shit from a guy who is normally hitting cleanup in a lineup. So it doesn't make sense there to me for Detroit. Again, there's a little bit of smoke, but I would rather want to see Kerry Carpenter continue to develop and see what he can turn into, as opposed to bringing on a free agent like that, when deep down, I think both of us know Detroit's not really going to contend this year. I think if they do, maybe I would consider it a success if they're in the wild card hunt towards the end of August.
Yeah. All right. Next.
Yeah, let me pull up the thing here so you can chastise me for going out of order.
Just pick now. As long as you're going to Bellinger, we're good.
Ramey, is this guy familiar to you? Thinking back to the good old days, Mr. Cody Bellinger. Yeah. He's coming off his best season since his 2009 MVP year. He had 26 home runs, 94 or 97 RBIs. At a triple slash, a 307, 356, and 525. Word around the campfires, he's looking for 200 mil. He also had 20 steals last year, which was kind of surprising. He's going to give you very good defense in center field, and he's only 28. He's a left-handed power bat. There aren't really a whole hell of a lot of those around. And you know what his upside is. His upside is MVP level play. Now, has he gotten back to that? No, he hasn't, but you can't expect a season like that from him every damn year.
No. What was I going to say about him? He has, I don't understand how he puts up MVP caliber numbers despite below average exit velocities. You have somebody like Vlad Guerrero, who's the epitome of hitting the ball hard with little to show for it. And then you have the other, the vice versa, or the opposite in Bellinger. And he was just so miserable those 2 years with the Cubs before he came to the Cubs. It was, they had to dump him. But I think it kind of presents a challenge for fantasy managers. I expect a typical decline with players following a standout season like that. A 2020 season, of course, is plausible, but I would still temper your expectations. But again, we don't know where he's going or where he's going to play.
Right. And you don't know how much he's going to be on the field either.
Right. He has started to become a hell of a contact hitter now. His whiff rate went down 7% last year. So he's getting on base in other ways. And I like him as a player. Just don't know where he's going to go.
I have this sinking feeling that come draft season, people are going to drastically overpay for what they get out of him. And I think because people are going to draft based off of last year's numbers and expect them to increase back towards what he put up in 2019.
Yeah.
I don't think he has another season like that in him. Now, he has played 130 and 144 games the past 2 seasons. The couple of years before that, he didn't even reach 100 games. You ain't going to do shit if your ass ain't out there on the field and in the batter's box. And he's not really somebody you want to DH either, just because of the excellent level of defense that he plays.
Yep.
I think if you draft him expecting roughly last year with maybe a little bit of regression, maybe he puts up 24 home runs instead of 26, maybe his RBIs are at 85 instead of 97. I think those would be more realistic expectations. Again, this is park dependent. If he goes somewhere like Cincinnati, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Then I think it's more likely, but And he's not going to Cincinnati, but still, I think based on what I think he's going to do, he's going to be far too expensive for me, either in draft round or if you're in an auction league, draft dollars. I'll let somebody else overpay for him and try and find that production elsewhere.
Heck yeah. Ramey thinks the Cubs end up re-signing him. We'll see. And the elimination of the shift really helped him. I could agree with that.
Really helped Corey Seager too.
Sure did. All right. Who we got left here? Oh, got too many things on the board here. I don't love this interface that much, but all right. Jorge Soler. I'll talk a little bit about him later too when we talk about our fantasy baseball 101 thing. But dude, did he have some power last year or what?
Dude.
It was back, had 36 homers, racked up 77 runs, 75 RBIs. That's despite a kind of high strikeout rate of 24.3%. I think he can still maintain 30 home run potential and surpass 90 runs and RBIs. He retains, what's big for him is he retains his outfield eligibility as well. So that's a limitation you don't have to worry about. We'll see. He was his OPS was 8.53 last year. The average is 7.34 across Major League Baseball last year. He had a fine season, especially the second half. And he was leading off for the Marlins last year in the second half. And that was awesome for me and my fantasy baseball team.
Yeah, absolutely. He's another dude. There's been a little bit of smoke around him in Detroit. I think him signing there would be more likely than JD Martinez. He's also younger than JD Martinez. He's 32 years old. I could see him easily getting a 3-year deal. He's got 40 home run upside if he plays 130 games, but he's only done that 3 times in his career.
Yeah.
He'd be a good fit in Toronto as well. And one of the things that kind of sticks out to me is he's got a better than average exit velocity. He's up over 91 miles an hour, but his BABIP is so damn low.
Yeah.
He does hit a lot of fly balls, 31.6%, averages around 23%. But you understand that going in, you understand what you're getting when you have Jorge Soler. The big thing is just keeping his ass healthy. If you can get that 130 games out of him, you've got a solid middle of the lineup bat. Don't piss around and hit somebody like that leadoff just because he doesn't get on base enough. I mean, you look at it, 34% last year. All right, that was cool, but like
not bad.
For his
he
career,
got on base because he cracked home runs, but they had some lineup issues down there, and I think that was their best option last season.
It was too, and just the park down there. That is one hell of a hitter's park, pitcher's park. They are, where in the hell is it? Well, they must have changed some shit. According to StatCast, over the last 3 years, it leans slightly to the hitters, but just it seems so damn cavernous and whatever. Apparently, I'm full of shit. Don't know what I'm talking about. So we'll move on to the next player here.
Already.
Reigning NL Cy Young Award winner, Blake Snell. He has won the Cy Young, and every season he's made 30 starts. He led the league in ERA plus. And your baseball is a very analytics driven game. So when you see a stat label with plus at the end, that just means that it's normalized to 100, with 100 being average. Last year, his ERA plus was 182. That means he was 82% better than league average. In the 4 seasons, he's been, let's see here. 4 seasons, he's been above average, 21 to 24. He's got 25 starts. Elite K per 9.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't throw enough innings. He really doesn't. And part of it is just the way that he pitches. He throws so many damn pitches that very rarely do you see him pitch deep into games. And that's going to hurt you when it comes time to qualify for wins, because you need that 5 full innings in there if you're the starter. I think he's somebody who, again, is looking for some massive contract, and he's been rumored to go to the Yankees and a few other teams. I hate to sound like a broken record, but again, he's somebody who I'm not going to overpay for him.
No. He's currently being drafted an ADP of 64 behind Peralta, Freddie Peralta, Aaron Nola, but ahead of Max Fried and Logan Webb. I'd rather have Logan Webb, I think. But speaking of Logan Webb, it's been rumored the Giants seem to be the best spot for him to go to. They need talent badly. I think it'd be a nice rotation with Webb and Alex Cobb and Stripling. And that rookie Kyle, I only remember his name Kyle because that's my name. I can't remember his last name, but you mentioned the innings thing. Last season was only his second season where he reached 180. All his other seasons, he didn't hit 130.
Yeah,
so
120, mid 20s for starts.
Yeah, I'm kind of bullish on him. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think his returns are going to equivalent that ranking, but he'll still be a value somewhere, depending on where he's going. But yeah, man, to win fantasy baseball, you really need some inning eaters and that are out there and accumulating stats. And he's a fine pitcher. Obviously, won a Cy Young, 2 Cy Young. So
yeah, but for me, he walks way too many people. He's got a walk rate up over 13%. MLB average is 8.5%. Mm-hmm. You cannot have sustained success giving away that many free passes.
Yeah.
Eventually that shit is going to catch up to you.
But you definitely can count on the strikeouts. Like you said, K percentage of 30 for 6 straight seasons for him. So we'll see. That'd be fine in, like a roto league, but I don't love him for points leagues as much.
Nope.
Okay, who we got next here? One more.
We have former Chicago Cub, Mr. Marcus Stroman. He's somebody last year. Look, he was having a career year prior to getting hurt. But from July onward, he had an ERA, or July 20th onward, he had an ERA over 11. He is typically durable, though. He is a very heavy ground ball pitcher. He's below average in his strikeout rates. To me, he's a low-end SP4, high-end SP5. I think if you can get 30 starts out of him, maybe you can get 150 strikeouts. At this point in his career, he has made 25 starts 6 times in his career. He seems to be healthy coming into the season. He had some, and I was talking with Ramey last night. I asked him, I said, what the hell happened with Stroman? He's like, I don't know. So, I looked it up. And now I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was fractured rib cartilage or some horse shit like that, like something I'd never heard of. And the big thing was with that, there hadn't been a pitcher that had dealt with that injury recent enough for anyone to really understand what the recovery time frame was for it. He came back after getting hurt, and he was just kind of ass. But prior to, he was damn good shit. He was a Cy Young candidate before the break.
Yeah, he's long been one of the game's most reliable starters, working to a career 3.65 ERA and 230 appearances, sub 4 ERA in each of the last 4 campaigns. He did have career high walks per 9 innings at 3.4. He's not in his prime anymore. He'll attract plenty of interest on the open market, but he should play as a back end fantasy starter this season. He's somebody I could see grabbing depending where, we'll see. He's not a guy that's, he's below those 9-figure guys, but, far ahead of some of the other pitchers available. Okay. Shit. All right. Now a little NFL real quick here for 5-10 minutes, 5-6 minutes.
I know some folks been waiting for it.
Yep. Lions got the Sunday night game against the Rams. Are coming to town.
I'm terrified.
Don't wear your fucking Stafford jerseys to the game. Wear your Jameson jerseys or something. Or wear a Stafford jersey and tape Williams on the back of that jersey.
There you go.
Don't wear a
Go get you a Hutch jersey.
Yeah. It's just time for a new jersey. But a lot of exciting playoff matchups this week. We'll see. I know that the Dolphins got to travel to Kansas City. it's looking like single digit wind chill game, and Miami is just like 0-12 in their last games when the temperature's under 40 degrees, something like that. I'm not expecting anything major there, although I did pick the Dolphins to beat the Chiefs.
As did I. And I always remember hearing about like them bullshit stats back when Peyton fucking Manning was playing. Oh, he never won a game under 40 degrees. And like, all right, cool. You haven't done it until you've done it.
Yeah.
And then that, ceases to be a thing. I just don't think Kansas City has the horses to do it this year. And when you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane, like those are 4 of the top 6 or 7 fastest guys in the NFL. Kansas City's defense played damn well this year. L'Jarius Sneed has been fantastic.
Sure.
But you can't keep up with that shit.
No.
You can't, especially in the NFL, speed kills, man.
It does. We got Blue Yays in. What's up, man? Welcome to the show.
What's up, Blue? Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you.
Just got done talking about some MLB free agents. Man, I really want I would really like the Cowboys to beat the Packers and the Lions to beat the Rams and a rematch down in Dallas with them cocksuckers.
Yep.
With no Brad Allen this time.
So we got Blue. Just wanted to let you know that Matt's a hater parlay is 1-0. You're welcome for that. And if you listened to my upset and took the Giants over the Eagles, you'd have even more money. You talk all that shit, and I'm over here putting money in your wallet, brother. But it's all good. I got nothing for love for you. Congrats on the Michigan championship. Yes, sir. We are riding high. I was talking to a buddy before we come on today, and he's like, "Oh, how you feeling today?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm basking in the afterglow. Like I just got my first piece of ass." Yeah. It's fantastic. There's nothing better than being a champion, and especially knowing that I had absolutely nothing to do with it makes it even better.
I think the Browns will go down to Houston and beat the Texans. I think the Texans are a great team, fine team. I'm very hyped to watch them. I just think, next year is probably their year to do some damage. I think the Browns have been playing well, and the Browns have totally had to change not totally change their identity, but they were pretty much a run first team. And now since Flacco's been around, they're pass first team there. He's pushing that ball downfield.
Well, I mean, if you look at the quarterback play that they had prior to Flacco taking over, of course they're going to be a run first team. You had DTR out there who was just, trying not to get killed. Deshaun Watson, I ain't going to go into that. I wish him nothing but failure. Joe Flacco is a proven veteran, and the one thing you can see is he still has that elite arm strength. So it doesn't matter how shitty the weather is. Now, granted, they most likely are not going to get a home game, but if they have to go to, Buffalo or Kansas City or go to Baltimore, a team they're very familiar with, he can push the ball through the wind. He's a damn good quarterback. I was never really a Joe Flacco guy, so to speak. But I think I appreciate him more during this run than I did during their run in 2012, 2013, whatever it was.
Yeah. With Baltimore, the Ravens. You guys doing an NFL playoff preview Thursday? We are, but it's not going to be like it has during the season. It'll probably just be 10 minutes, 12 minutes, something like that. I don't know. But we will discuss it. We will talk about it. We both love football as well. So the Steelers come to Buffalo Blue Jays. What's happening there? Bill's going to take care of business. I mean, I don't see a world where the Bills lose.
Mason Rudolph, dude. Mason Rudolph is not going into Buffalo in the playoffs and getting a win. It's not going to happen.
It's going to be cold as shit there. Oh, God, it's going to be cold.
Yeah, it is. We got Blue Jays. He's talkative tonight. Where do you think Soler lands? I think Toronto is a good landing spot for him. I think Detroit would be a good spot for him. They could plug him out in left field. And I understand they brought in Mark Canha, but like you don't start Mark Canha over Jorge Soler. You're not going to bench Riley Green. You got Parker Meadows out there in center field. He could DH some too. But I think it's going to be Detroit or Toronto would be my two guesses.
Heck yeah. Bills will probably choke. Don't say that. Don't be speaking that into existence, man. But it's a good team. I think they'll take care of business there. I don't see the Steelers going there and winning, but
You know what we should do?
I do see the Bucks upsetting the Eagles, though. You want to show your picks?
Yeah, might as well. So I'll slap my bracket up here on how I think the playoffs are going to play out. I think the Eagles will go take care of business, and I can't for the life of me figure out why in the hell they put that game on Monday Night Football, but whatever. Yeah. I do like the Lions to handle Matthew Stafford, and I think that game's going to be a shootout. I wouldn't be shocked if that game was played in the high 50s, low 60s. I wanted to pick the Packers over the Cowboys, but FTP, I just couldn't do it. Moving on to the NFC divisional, Lions get their revenge. The Niners once again handle the Eagles, and then you've got Detroit headed to San Francisco, where they get the shit monkey off their back, and they go to the Super Bowl. In the AFC side, I agree with you, Kyle. I think the Browns handle the Texans. I like the Dolphins over the Chefs as well. Again, I just don't think they have the horses, and the Bills they'll take care of business against the Steelers. And a hell of a job by Mike Tomlin getting that team there to the playoffs this season, but they'll be one and done.
Yeah.
I like the Browns over the Bills. Just that defense is so damn good. And with how often Josh Allen turns the ball over, I mean, shit, he had another 3 turnovers just the other day, and you know the Dolphins couldn't capitalize. Granted, they were down Raheem Mostert and Jalen Waddle. The Dolphins will go into Baltimore, they'll lose again, and then the Browns over the Ravens. And what do we have but a couple first timers here in the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
the Lions and the Browns, and I sure as shit am not going to bet against my team in the playoffs. The Lions prove once again that the state of Michigan is superior to the state of Ohio, and they secure their first Super Bowl win.
Yeah, shit. I wonder if they'll just meet up in Toledo and fly out together to Las Vegas. They're so close to one another. But
no.
Mine's not too much different than yours, at least at the end it is different, of course. But yeah, I think 49ers beat the Bucks. Lions take care of business. Cowboys take care of business. And I got the same way. Lions and 49ers meeting up, but I have the 49ers beating the Lions. I think they're just too powerful a team for the Lions to get this year, with some of our issues on defense. On the AFC side, same way. I got the Bills, Dolphins, Browns winning. Ravens take care of business versus the Dolphins in the divisional round. Bills do the same, or Browns do the same thing to the Bills. Sorry, they're Blue Jays. I got a Browns Ravens AFC North Super Bowl, or AFC Championship, I should say. And I just got both 1 seeds going to the dance there. Ravens taking it 27-24. With Lamar, boy's unstoppable. In the way that they took care of business against the 49ers earlier this year, I don't know. Matt is taking the Browns to the Super Bowl. He's taking something Brown to the bowl. I don't know if it's the Cleveland Browns or not, but I thought you weren't sick anymore.
Bet with your head, not your heart, or,
yeah,
leaky butt.
Okay. All right. Next, we got. So I know a lot of you guys have asked for, you want to play fantasy baseball. You haven't played it before. You haven't done it in some years. Matt and I wanted to come out with, I guess I'll say some guidance, tips, tricks, hints. We're just calling it Fantasy Baseball 101. You got the thing? Where's the thing? Yeah, this one. There you go. Fantasy Baseball 101. We got Hot Teacher in the house. So go ahead, Hot Teacher.
Don't ever call me that again. After seeing that thumbnail, I'm sure you're very disappointed to see us here. Today's topic, and this is our first topic, it's waivers. And most of you who are watching have played fantasy football before, and you understand waivers are important. Fantasy baseball is a grind. Waivers are probably the biggest key to your success. Um, in fantasy baseball, you should be churning the bottom of your roster. Baseball is a very high variance sport. Even the best players can go 0 for 8 across a couple games. You never see LeBron James go scoreless. Like it
Right.
doesn't happen.
Yep.
Um, both hitters and pitchers get very, very streaky, and those are the streaks that you want to ride. There's, um, a hitter will be relevant for 2 or 3 weeks out of the season, but if you have him for those 2 or 3 weeks out of the season, they can almost single-handedly lead
Sure.
you to wins.
Yep.
You've got prospects that are constantly called up throughout the season. You've got quad A guys, and what I mean by that is guys who are not good enough to be regular everyday major league players, and so they go back and forth between AAA and the majors. They might get 30-40 games a year, something like that. Like I said, it is a grind, but if you stick with it, if you work waivers, if you understand how to spot players, you don't want to look at next week. Everybody's looking at, 2-start pitchers next week, or what hitter is going to be in Colorado and Cincinnati next week. You want to look a couple weeks out, especially if you can spare the roster spot. Find that 2-start pitcher who's going to be in Detroit and Seattle.
Yep. Yep. You hit the nail on the head. It's waiver wire. Never stop. Never give up. This is the way you win championships. I lived that last season in my dynasty league and had very good luck picking up guys throughout the season, from the first week to the last month of the fantasy baseball season. I grabbed Justin Steele the first couple weeks of the season. Y'all know what he did. He was what? Oh shit, I missed it. Damn it. Anyway, Justin Steele, 18th pitcher in fantasy points last year, 862 points. It was nice to have him. I'm going to franchise him and keep him an extra year, or whatever the term is. I can't remember what it was. Another one was Kikuchi from Toronto that I grabbed right before May. Pitched 167 innings, got me 700 some points. He had more points than Charlie Morton in Atlanta and Verlander, both guys that were drafted way higher than Kikuchi was. And the great thing about our league, and not all leagues are like this, but we had to start a couple relief pitchers, and he was dual eligible for starting and relief. So I was able to plug him in weeks that it made sense with the matchups, and get an extra start, because you're looking for starts in fantasy baseball for sure. If you probably average, like, I don't know, 7-8 starts. I constantly had 9 or 10 a lot of last season, and it helped me greatly. I scored the most fantasy points in the league. Didn't win a championship, but came in second. But whatever. Oh well. And the couple other big, Soler was one of them I grabbed as well in May. Rode him, started him a lot. It worked out. And Alexis Diaz, the closer for the Reds, was probably my best get. That was nice. I got him in May. He was the best closer in baseball last year.
Yeah.
And another one I had was William Contreras, catcher from the Brewers. I rode, what's his name? Alejandro Kirk, and he just sucked balls forever. But there's just not a lot of good pitchers there once you get past Rauschman and who else?
Those are catchers.
Yeah, catchers. That's what I meant to say. My bad. Fuck off, Matt. But Contreras was great. He finished catcher number 2 behind Adley Rutschman. It was great. I had not constantly been on waivers, I'm talking every day. That football's different, man. You can kind of put that app away for 3-4 days and check it in a minute and see where you're at. Baseball's not that way. Even if it's a baseball league where you just do weekly moves or even bi-weekly moves versus daily moves, I still was grinding every day trying to make my team better, even if it was for a week. because I just needed the win.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And really, you need to understand too, just like in fantasy football, how do your waivers work? Does the order reset every week? Do you get that number one waiver priority and you can hang on to it until you burn it? Or do you use Fab? If you use Fab, there's strategy that goes into that. How much do you want to spend for somebody that you may only use for a couple weeks? And just like football, pickups that you make early in the season are going to be of greater value because in theory you can get a longer period of productivity out of them as opposed to somebody who you pick up at the end of August. You'll also need to be conscious of any transaction limits that your league may have. um,
Yeah.
and really it just
Yeah.
speaks to understanding your league settings before you draft. As soon as you agree to join a league, go onto the website and look at your league settings, look at your league scoring. There are leagues where you get start limits. You can only have 7 starts per week or something like that.
Sure.
And we're going to get into, more tips and tricks as we get closer to the season here.
We're
But,
doing that Thursday, I believe.
yeah,
We're talking about league scorings, types, and settings, and the league details and stuff on that. So on Thursday to give you guys a leg up to. Listen, it's never too early to identify guys that you're liking for this upcoming season. If there's evidence that can help prove a second half breakout from last season wasn't just a fluke, then you kind of already got a leg up on the competition and your league mates. Get aggressive. Identify guys. You put yourself in the best position to compete this season.
absolutely.
Cool.
Well, look at us at the hour mark. We got through episode 1 of season 2 here on the Stoned On Sports podcast. Neither of us shit ourselves or burned anything to the ground. So I guess that's a good one. Do want to say thank you to everyone who come to hang out with us. We really appreciate you hopping in the chat and just talking with us. We're on this ride together. We're here to help you guys out, but we're also here to have a good time, have some fun, shoot the shit. We're passionate about sports. We're passionate about fantasy sports, be it baseball or football. I don't know enough about basketball to speak about it intelligently, but I do know I love March Madness, and I'll watch the NBA playoffs when people actually start giving a shit and playing a little defense.
Exactly. But Thursday we'll have a little MLB like second half performance hot list kind of thing that we'll talk about a bunch of players from that. We'll also cover the preview of the NFL wild card a bit, not in the great detail that we did in our fantasy football episodes, but we're still going to touch on it and talk on it most definitely. Some more here, and then our fantasy baseball 101 again on Thursday. I just mentioned is going to be the league settings, scorings, different types of leagues out there. There's roto leagues, points leagues, head-to-head roto leagues. We want to go over those so you guys understand the difference and the advantages and disadvantages and the strategies that you need to use depending on which type of league you're in.
Sounds like a plan, homie.
Sweet. All right, take us out.
All right, everyone. Again, appreciate you. We'll be back here again Thursday at our usual time. No episode on Sunday morning. No Tinker time, but that's going to be coming back in a different capacity as we get closer to the launch of Major League Baseball and opening day, one of my favorite holidays. So, on behalf of this dumbass here with me on the screen, just want to say I appreciate all you guys. Thanks for coming out, and we will talk to you Thursday.
Good night, folks. Have a good one.